Hey everyone, welcome back to the Yosemite Fit Show. I'm your host, Brent Shazer. So glad you could join us again this week. Today, I'm really excited to let everyone know about an amazing event that's coming up on Sunday, April 28th at the Mariposa Fairgrounds, and it's called the Grizzly Dash. It's an obstacle course race sponsored by Mountain Fitness, and it's a fundraiser for all of the school sports teams here in Mariposa. And to find out more about it, today I'm joined by Mariposa High School track coach, Adrian Perez, who's going to be giving us the full scoop on this event. And Adrian's a pretty amazing athlete himself, and I'm hoping to find out a bit more about him and his background as well. So before I get started, though, I do have to do our standard disclaimer here. Remind all of our listeners that the topics we discuss on this show are informational only, and you should always seek the advice of your own doctors, trainers, nutritionists, and other healthcare providers about your individual needs. Neither the hosts nor the guests nor sponsors are liable for any use of the information that we talk about and present on this program. All right, hard stuff out of the way. Adrian, thank you very much for joining me today. Appreciate it. Let's talk about the Grizzly Dash. What's this all about?
All right, so thank you for having me and for letting us put some info out on this event. It's a fundraiser for all Mariposa County High School athletics. So whatever your sport is, if you're an old football player and you want to give to the football team, you can do that. Baseball. But it's also a fundraiser for the track team. The track team is unofficially hosting it, for liability reasons with the school. We couldn't say we were hosting it. So I don't know what the exact term is, but the track kids are going to be helping set up, and it is our fundraiser for this year.
Okay.
But I wanted to keep it open to all sports for those monies. And mainly to try and instill some like inter-class competition amongst the kids.
Fun.
So hopefully, the track kids will say, we have the best athletes. The football kids will say, and all the way across, everybody will show up and compete. And then, they'll have some bragging rights.
Right.
And also we're going to raise money for school sports. And I hope everybody gets represented and gets some dollars. And they were very gracious at first. They were going to give us all the money. Mountain Fitness, Jenny Kaiser, opened this up to us, and she had done it for basketball a couple of years ago. And it was pretty good money for them. I think it was about $4,000 they raised.
All right.
So, she presented it, but I wanted it for all sports. So I want people to know that, yes, probably a bigger chunk will come to track, but it's up there for everybody. So it's on those other teams if they want to make some money out of this deal to get their athletes in there and represent.
Basketball players, football players, curling, golf, whatever teams.
The high school sports,
right?
The whole gamut, and it's listed on the website when you register.
Okay,
you
great.
can designate, and if you don't designate, track gets the money. So that's how it works.
Clever.
Well, we
Right.
we want to make it easy, but if you're not going to bother to check a box, we'll just say, well, you must have wanted track to hack.
So what type of things for the track team? Like, what do you guys really need of? Is this uniforms or, pole vaults or what?
So, people, I think a lot of people think for track, all you need is a flat elliptical surface to do some running on. But, there's, I think it's 13 different events, and a lot of them have implements, hurdles, pole vaulting mats, high jump mats, the shot and disc throwing implements, the nets to protect the kids in discus to keep them from going stray, pole vault poles and everything. Since each item is unique to the sport, of course, price point goes up because they're not making them, cranking them out, selling. They're selling a lot of them nationwide, but not like you can go to Costco and grab the off market brand, or because they're selling them in bulk, you can get them cheaper. So the items are very expensive. Pole vault mat system right now for what is required by standard by the governing bodies is about $25,000
Wow.
and
Okay.
about a 5-year life on that system.
Wow. So
High jump mats,
5,000.
about $8,000. Same thing, about a 5-year life on those. Hurdles, we can get a little more life out of those, but entry level bottom end hurdles are tickling $100 each. If you have a 9 lane track and you're running 300 hurdles, you need 60 of them.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it is an expensive sport. We think about other ones with the consumables and safety equipment that has to be done. And I don't think people think about that with track. So
Right.
yes, we always need money. And a lot of it I want is actually for training,
Okay.
training equipment, pull sleds, push sleds, medicine balls, for weighted throws, the things that we can simulate race forces without putting those kind of stresses on the kids
Okay.
and prevent injury.
Right.
That's always injury prevention because they're developmental. They're the shin splints are like the bane of track and gimpy kids around, and then knees, ankles.
Right.
So we do a lot of core work. I think most of the kids are shocked about how often we're doing things, and it's never crunches, which is the other shocker for the kids. But it's all about stabilizing that core, because if you don't have a strong core, you can't deliver force to the ground to run fast.
Right. Wow. Good points. All right. Well, as somebody who's not a huge runner, that's really interesting to hear. Okay. So you said, not crunches.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to Grizzly Dash here, but now I just got to ask, right, this is the track, So, give me a couple examples then.
The plank.
Okay. Okay.
So we'll
how would I do?
a high plank, and we'll do a low plank, and then we'll alternate up, down.
Okay.
High plank, but with leg raises, and then prone and supine. So up top, and then turn around, put your hands underneath you.
Okay.
It's really demanding to keep your backside up,
right,
when you're facing up as well. Some of the kids can't do it at all, but if they're keeping their backside off the ground, and I'm holding them there for a minute, and they're raising their legs about 6 inches off the ground, alternating, that's a tough day for them. And we start, on the elbows low, and then we flip them over, prone to supine, and then we go high, prone to supine, and then we do on the side, on the elbow, on the side up, and we raise the top leg, raise the side leg. And if we get through all those, that's maybe like 6 minutes of work, and they're done. They're
right. That's the day, right? And nothing else after that.
And we do that work at the end, because I always want them fresh when they do their running to protect their form, and once again for injury prevention. But so the core work comes at the end of the day.
Okay.
The weightlifting comes at the end of the day, after the running, because
makes sense.
I don't
Skill
want their
work
stride.
first.
I don't want their strides messed up. Yeah, I want not a perfect practice, but a better practice mechanics wise for that injury prevention. And so I'm seeing what I need to see to assess, but we have to work on those other things too.
Sure.
The big gains are made there.
Okay. All right. Well, sorry for the aside.
Yeah.
Back to Grizzly Dash here real quick though.
Everybody knows the plank.
Yeah, that was it's like, ow, but done those as well. Okay, so Grizzly Dash, that kind of gives a great overview of some of the equipment you guys, the track team especially is looking for and everything. And that stuff's pricey. Come out, folks. Okay,
Yes,
25 grand, 6 grand, 5 grand, pricey stuff. So come out, compete here. I'm going to hit you up several times during this show. But what's the history of this event? Is this like the first one?
So I believe it originally started as the Rudy Warrior Challenge.
Oh, okay.
And if I'm mistaken on this, I have to apologize, but I think it was a fundraiser for Deputy Rudy.
Okay.
Who was shot in the line of duty, and it was a way to help raise funds for him.
Okay.
And it was, very speared towards teamwork, so there was this, you always had to have a team, and you had to kind of suffer and prevail and get through the obstacles as a team. And there were, I think, 4-man teams originally, or 4-person teams, I should say. And then as he made his recovery, and I think it just kind of morphed into the Grizzly Dash. I believe. I could be totally mistaken. If they're two totally separate animals, I apologize, but that's how I have seen the progression and how I understand it. And then, like I said, a couple years ago, Jenny Kaiser and the gym there put it up, and it was a fundraiser for the basketball team.
Okay.
And then they've also done the most recent one was the Miwok Challenge, and it was the fundraiser for the Southern. Man, I'm gonna mess that up.
That's all right.
I should have.
We'll look it up and put it in the show notes.
Yes, please. So, and you know, and that was the last one I participated in, and then this year it came back to being or this time around it came back to being a fundraiser for the high school sports, and Jenny Kaiser approached me for track because she knows I'm the track coach, and you know, and I guess I am getting something out of this by speaking to her in her gym, but you know, I don't get a kickback from this.
Okay. All right.
So, you know, I'm not endorsing them other than the fact that they are helping us in this process. And they're the ones that secured the fairgrounds, have the insurance on the event. So they're kind of the banner sponsor, as it were. And then we're getting to reap the rewards from that. So,
that's great.
Yeah.
Jenny, you know, and people in the community know Jenny Kaiser. She does so much around here. She's the owner of Mountain Fitness, which is the headline sponsor here we're talking about. So, you know, not an endorsement or anything, but good person, good people there. She does a lot. So, that's awesome. So you talked about this is a team event, right?
Yes.
So how does that work?
So I don't know the exact course yet, right? Because it would be unfair for me to know the course and then I could train for it. And whoever I'm teamed up with, we could just train for it and go out there and potentially just destroy the field.
Right.
I mean, maybe not.
But definitely an advantage.
But it would be an advantage. Yeah. So I don't know the exact course. My understanding is it's going to be, you know, I think some people, when they hear dash, they're thinking running event. And because track is in there, they're thinking, oh, running event, track's going to stack this up in their favor. It is not. It's going to be more like a shuttle relay is my understanding. The goal for this setup is to have 4 quadrants on the football field there at the fairgrounds. Okay. So 4 teams, 4 2-person teams can compete at once.
Oh, wow. All right.
I do know that there will be a rope climb and a wall climb.
Okay.
So
you heard it here, folks. Get your rope on.
There will be, you know, some kind of weights. If it's going to be kettlebells, is it going to be sandbags? I can't exactly speak to that, but it's not going to be more than maybe 50 meters of running at a time, right? So it's going to be, you know, a burst, doing something, turn around, do a burst, and you know, with the partner side, you know, you may have to do like a fireman's carry on your partner. I don't know the exact layout, but it's not going to be running intensive. I believe the goal was to have each team through in about 20 minutes at the longest. So it's not going to be like this long endurance march. So,
okay. All right.
You know,
I like that.
If you're not trained to go for an hour, this is not going to be super out of your wheelhouse, is my understanding. Once again, I do not know the course.
Sure.
But they do try and engineer it so you know that you got to work it out.
All right.
They're not, it's not just going to be, you know, soft pedal through there and, oh, that was, you know, participation and high five, you know, and everybody's going to be cheering for everybody. But I have a feeling there's going to be some competition and some, you know, some tough looks and some scowls and maybe a little trash talk, but that's what makes this kind of stuff fun.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, short bursts with some work at each end. So probably kind of high intensity interval training would be your best if you're trying to prep for this. You know, but exactly what's going on, I don't have the exacts on that.
All right. But so for like the team, do you know, would each member of and it's 2-person team, right? And so would each member of the team do each obstacle or each
see, I don't know.
Don't know.
I don't know if it's going to be like relay style, like you go down and then come back and then tag your partner.
Right. Okay.
Or if it's, you know, both of you have to do everything.
All right.
You know, if it's a 10-foot wall, you may have to help your teammate over.
Hey, if it's a 3-foot wall, I'm needing help. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, all right. Well, that's good.
Right.
So I was hoping to bring you on and get some insight in here.
Yeah,
but
if people are thinking that I have the lowdown and I'm just going to run all over this thing, that is not the case.
All right.
I have no advantage. Everybody now knows as much as I
Okay.
do.
All right. Well, we've got a couple events there, and we know it's a team event, so that's good. You need, grab a partner. And so you said they're hoping, it sounds like you said 4 quadrants, so 4 teams could run at once. And so you are kind of racing against other people at the same time, but I assume is there like an overall overall time for everybody? You're not just competing against
Right.
those 4,
So
right?
there'll be prizes for the top 3 finishers in the men's category and the ladies category. So no combined teams. And I think that's usually for weight reasons.
Okay.
So, the ladies will have, usually it's like men will throw 35 on the kettlebells and the ladies will have 25.
Okay.
Whatever, if it's a farmer's carry or a bucket carry, the men's bucket will be 70 pounds and the ladies will be, I don't know what, the 50 or something like that. And so they don't want mixed teams just because I think same thing for course setup. It just makes it easier.
Right.
Hey, this lane for the ladies teams, because everything's already there. So you don't have to have your marshals or officials moving stuff around to try and accommodate. And it makes for a more seamless event for the other teams as they're going in there. Yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds like whoever's setting this up does have some experience, so that's smart. So that's
done
awesome.
this a few times over the years now. Yeah.
All right. So some of my other notes, I was going to ask you how long the course was, whether you had any hints on what to expect, a number of obstacles and everything. And it sounds like you just got to show up and find out.
A little bit. So,
right.
I think that hit type training is going to be where it's at.
All right. And so you did say there was going to be like prizes as well. All right.
So we've requested the Mariposa Chamber of Commerce provide gift baskets for the top 3 teams in the men's and the ladies categories. Years past, we've had a lot of great prizes in there. And just off the top of my head, I chamber members are, I wish I could name them all and thank them all. But I know like 1850 has put in gift cards there, and I want to say the hardware stores have donated equipment. I think there was a chainsaw at the BWUC challenge. What else? I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. I want to say maybe some wine from Butterfly Creek or Mariposa Vineyards.
Okay.
I want to name everybody. Right. I don't want to misname, so I apologize. But the prizes have been good. Your registration, you can get a T-shirt. I haven't seen the T-shirts yet, but it'll be specific to the event.
Okay.
So if nothing else, you have the pride of coming out, of competing, doing your best, and you come away with a T-shirt and potentially, some swag, some additional swag. And I don't know. A lot of times other stuff gets thrown in there. Okay. Hey, a pre-workout energy drink or something like that will be part of the bag, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one amazing thing about this community. I mean, if you go to any events around here, I mean, there's always the businesses donating prizes, for raffles and things like that. And so it's nice to know. I'm sure they'll be great, whoever's donating, because the chamber here is amazing. Everybody pitches in, and it's such a great cause. I mean, if you haven't, donated yet, if you haven't registered yet, go register. Okay. Yeah. And we're going to have the links there to do that. But I mean, if you're a chamber member, if you're just a business, I mean, hopefully there's still time to get something in there, and help support, and show your support for these kids. So, all right. So, what is the cost?
Okay.
For it?
So for your 2-person team, it's $80. If you want a T-shirt, it's $100.
So it's $100. You got to get the T-shirt.
Yeah. But money's tight. Some of these are going to be high school kids that are the team. So, I get it. And so we want you there. We price point, I think if you mentioned just registering for a Spartan, I think, going rate on those is about $150. Right?
Yeah. I think and that was under the early, early bird special.
Okay.
On that.
So, for similar events.
Yeah.
This is maybe not as big and not as long, not as exciting, but then you don't have the drive, you don't have
Right.
the hotel fee, you don't have the food bills, so you can get that type of experience and that type of workout and that type of bond. What makes these events, I think, so great and why people keep coming back and get hooked is that, everybody suffered through the same thing.
Right. Yep.
You do a sprint event and it's a 5K, but then they're Spartan miles, right? So they're gonna make you leg out closer to 4 miles.
Okay.
They're gonna put hills in there. They're gonna get you muddy, but everybody who crosses the finish line has that, and that's the bond of Spartan racing. And that's why, I think when people see somebody else with the Spartan t-shirt on out at the grocery store, it's like, hey,
Right.
They're
My people.
right. They've already had that bond. And it's old school football players that talk about their double sessions in the summer, 150 degrees and
2-a-days.
Right. So, or old military guys who talk about boot camp or combat experiences, that's that common bond,
Right.
that's very unique to these type of communities. So, come get a taste of that if you haven't already.
Right.
And if you have, then
Yeah.
and just, now you're doing something you already know, but you're supporting a great cause in our community.
Yeah. Again, all for the high school athletics teams, track team, but all of them. And
Yep.
so, yeah. All right, great. Well, so Jenny Kaiser, Mountain Fitness, called me up and kind of shamed me and my show partner, Steve Duggar, to enter this. But unfortunately, he's got to work that day. And I'm supposed to be running the Paseo de Mariposa that day as well. So I guess I'm probably out unless I can find a partner in some way to go later. So
we'll snag one of the track kids for you. We'll make sure you have a partner.
All right.
And we'll make sure it's somebody who wants to be there and wants to compete and wants to win this thing too. Right?
Right.
Because we want you to be confident and have fun too.
Right.
But that might be intimidating. Like here's this guy I never met before. Who's this guy? But that I think I've let the kids know that, hey, this is our fundraiser for the year. Last year we sent out letters to a lot of groups and so many of the local advocacy groups not through money, but donated towards our cause. And we were raising funds for new warm-up uniforms. Mm-hmm. We met and exceeded our goal for the year. This year we have brand new warm-ups. So we met that mark. And then, so when it was time to figure out, well, we still need to fundraise. There's always a goal. And even if I have no idea what I want right now, there's always, why we talked about those big costs on equipment, down the road that always they're consumable. It's hard to think of a $30,000 piece of equipment being consumable, but the sun is hard. The sun is brutal on the stuff. It sits out, this time of year and the weather in spring, our pole vault mats, last weekend had snow on them. And then yesterday it was 80, 81, 82 degrees, whatever it came up to. So they're getting chewed up. And so,
all right, definitely need the equipment. So, and so like time wise, right? So can I still make it?
Podcast is going to have a link to the registration. There's a QR code on there. We've set out some flyers in a few businesses in town. I know I got into Pony today. I believe the health food store has one. We're going to be putting them up all over the high school as well for those high school kids they got no excuse. It's and same way on the high school website, there's a link to it. And then the gym website has a link to it. So, you have to not be paying attention to have missed this, I think, already. But if it wasn't in your wheelhouse and you're maybe like, oh, Grizzly Dash, I'm not running. Now you know what it's about, and hopefully, you'll get the spirit behind it and get in with us and have a good time. So, and and for those of us who are supposed to be doing the Paseo that day, we can come over afterwards. So yeah, my other coach and I, because Miss King from the health department came to me and she said, hey, we're doing the Paseo this year and we want kids there. And actually one of my distance runners won the 12K in the under 18 last year.
Okay.
So he and his teammate are both going to be running over there. And then my distance coach, Becky Potter Good, and myself, we're both going to run. I'm just going to do the 5K.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to head over and then be at our fundraiser as well. So do the Paseo and then get over to our event or just do our event. But
Right.
we want to hype that up. You know, one of my goals for the team in my flyer that I hand out to the kids and their parents is, you know, hey, I wanted to build, you know, competent, you know, strong, mentally and physically competent, confident athletes.
Right.
But, you know, like bullet statement number 4 is lifetime fitness.
There you
is
go.
the goal.
Yep.
So I want to instill that in the kids. Like, hey, even if you don't want to run track the rest of your life, which, you know, most people do not, you know, understanding the benefits of just
building that foundation when you're young
and psychologically and physically. Injury prevention and faster injury recovery. I mean, there's so much data out there. You know, it's like I tell the kids, you know, life is kind of like a poker game. You know, you get dealt a certain hand, right? You know, based on your genetic, you know, makeup. You know, hey, not all of us get the lottery when we're born, but there are things that are not under your control and the things that are under your control. And so the things that you do have control over, why wouldn't you always try and stack those odds in your favor as much as possible?
Yep.
And with health and fitness, I think just exercise of any sort. And so, yeah, definitely with the Paseo. Originally, we didn't think we were going to be on the same day. We thought they were going to be the next weekend. They had put up their tentative date as it makes sense. But with the Butterfly Festival, I think they wanted to stay away from that.
Sense.
And so, you know, we ended up being on the same date. We had already kind of committed with the fairgrounds and I had already put it out to our kids and their families. So I didn't want to start jockeying for days. So we just kept it. Hate to compete with them, but
well, I don't think. I mean, yeah, you can say compete.
We'll
but,
make it work.
Right. I think
I'm going to do both.
And evidently, I'm not getting out of this either. I tried. It's like, oh, I don't have a partner. Well, I'll get you one of the kids. Oh, okay. I'm doing the Paseo. Well, you can come over after. I'm doing it too. So So evidently, I'm not getting out of this. I'll run. We'll make it.
You know,
make it happen.
You know that speaks to you and your goals and commitment and willingness to help out. So that's awesome. Absolutely.
But yeah, let's get out there and support the teams. So I've got one other thing, and I didn't tell you I was going to do this. But one other little announcement as well. Corey and I talked this morning, and Concierge Real Estate Services and Yosemite Fit are going to get together and sponsor one other team for the Grizzly Dash.
Nice.
So if somebody is out there would really like to do this, but maybe can't afford it,
awesome.
We're going to sponsor a team together. All you have to do is leave a comment on this video on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you found it at, or sign up for the Yosemite Fit newsletter on our website at yosemite.fit. We're going to put all of those names and pick a winner randomly a week before.
Okay.
Actually give us plenty of time to get them registered and everything, right? And we'll get another team going there. So that's what we want to do.
I think that I haven't done my registration, so shame on me. But it's about a 2-minute process. It's mostly clicking boxes.
Yep.
You know, for under 18, you know, they have to have a waiver signed by a parent or a guardian. Just for liability purposes, we got to protect our kids, right? And next level protection, you know, for those that are younger. But it's you know, we're not asking for family history, create a password and do all these other things. So
just sign up, click 2 minutes.
And for, you know, who do you want your proceeds to go to? That track and field box. I think they're in alphabetical order. So we're kind of toward the bottom.
Right. But if you don't check anything, you did say that it goes to track.
You don't designate, track does get it. So
all right, cool.
Yeah. All right. That is awesome. Thank you to Concierge Real Estate and you guys for, you know, seeing the importance of this and helping us out.
All right. Well, Grizzly Dash, amazing. But while I've got you here, for kind of some selfish reasons we'll get into in a minute, I want to find out a little more about you. You know, you're quite the athlete as well. You know, what's your background with athletics or physical stuff. So,
So in three sport athlete in high school: football, basketball, track.
okay.
Track was my best, where I excelled. I was a 400 runner, and triple jump were probably my best events.
Okay.
I was part of the Grizzly track and field empire, where the girls had, I believe it was 23 consecutive league titles, which is actually a state record in the state of California. It was like 1984 to like 2005, something like that. We had t-shirts made up.
I bet.
And so the boys didn't go consecutive. We missed a couple here and there, but we had almost as many.
Okay.
So, but I got to be part of, like I said, that track empire with the high school here, where at league meets, we would beat the other teams by like 200 points. We had a girls 4x400 team that if there wasn't another 4x4 team of ladies to run against them, they would run against the JV boys in the 4x400 relay, and they would lap them.
Wow.
So we had some very good athletes. They
Something
did better than me, but it was part of the culture then. I don't know, some in the water.
I was
whatever.
just going to say that.
But it was a very fun and amazing time. And then, the Olympic sports, all across the board in all across the nation have really fallen off. Like, Fresno State lost its wrestling program for, I don't know how many years. Track and field is kind of diminished at I want to say at the high school level, and from what I've seen versus what I'd seen in years past. So we're really trying to grow the program, but it's a tough fight. But for me in my history, that, I got to be part of that. I love track and field, but out of high school, didn't have the college experience. I went into the Navy out of high school, but still, right. I was required to be physically fit.
Right.
Little different animal for the Navy. I was in the CB, so I was a combat engineer. I wore a camouflage uniform, so I look like one thing and I worked for another. And most of the work we did over at the time I was in was for the Army, but fitness was very much part of the culture.
Okay.
So stayed healthy, and then once I got out of the Navy, went into the Highway Patrol. So once again, still kind of a paramilitary culture where physical training, physical abilities, testing was part of your lifestyle. So it was kind of in there.
Right.
But in 2011, I said, hey, they have this police and fire games thing. I'm going to try track and field. Like I had tried some triathlon work, and I did duathlon, and couldn't get a lot of swimming. I didn't like swimming. I was a lifeguard in high school, but just not a good swimmer. I like my oxygen. I want it all, and I want it now. So having to exhale underwater and poke my head out to get my breath was like, no.
Okay.
I want massive volumes of air on me at all times. So the triathlon side was good. Duathlon did well. On my 35th birthday, I made the podium at a race right outside of Sacramento. So got third there as an age grouper. And so, but the expense of maintaining a bike was very frustrating. Was very frustrating to me. And anybody who's got a road bike, I saw your Trek out there.
Yeah.
And the time frame it was the Trek Madone 5.2 was what I had. I thought I was hot stuff, but kind of got discouraged with that side of duathlon. So I said, hey, let's do track and field. Went to the 2011 police and fire games. It was the last year of the Western states. It used to be the Western states. So everybody kind of west of the Mississippi used to compete.
Okay.
And then that was the first year, was the national police and fire games. And it was down in Ontario, California. And it was also the 10th anniversary of September 11th. So it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And the Ontario community actually had some high school kids. I don't know if there was multiple kids or a kid that was on one of the flights. So it was very striking to that community and them hosting it. And they actually had one of the I-beams from the World Trade Center there. So it was some, but I went into track and field after, 1993 to 2011. I don't know that math hiatus, but I came home with 4 gold medals. So I was like, man, maybe I should have been doing this track thing this whole time. And about
Sounds like it.
yeah. And but prior to that, I was volunteer coaching at the high school here.
Okay.
Probably around 2005 is when I started up in that, and kind of came and went as my work schedule accommodated that. But yeah, that's when I really got back into track and field competitively as an adult, and kind of ever since then I've been competing in the U.S. Police and Fire Games, the World Police and Fire Games, and then USA Track and Field with the SoCal. Is it not club? Association. So
Okay.
they break it up into regions. So the Pacific Association is kind of the Bay Area. Central California is the association we belong to. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of masters track and field. They have a good junior development program in our association,
That's good.
and road running. So the distance runners have some stuff, but for the over 35 athletes on the track, there's not a lot for them. So I had to kind of go out of local. So, but
Find the events and things that
to be able to compete, and I like competing, and I've done pretty well. I have probably about 20 medals from the U.S. championships, and then I have 4 from the World Games, and 400, 200 is where those are all in. So.
So parents, if you got high schoolers, get them into track and field, because you've got quite a guy here who to be coaching them.
But when the old guy who had his glory days, right? That doesn't just give me the right to go out as a subject matter expert on the track. So I've done a lot of studying.
Okay.
Since I've been on, because the things we did in 1993, like, we've learned a lot since then.
Right.
The technology's improved our understanding of the human body, kinesiology, how it moves, how it operates, how it recovers. We've learned so much. Imaging is improved. So
every year,
if I were to come out and just say, well, this is how we did it when I was a kid, so this is what you guys were going to do, I would be cheating the kids. So it's not just that I ran and I continue to run. I've done some homework,
right,
to try and make sure that I'm once again, I spoke to, hey, my goals for the team. One of them, like third bullet statement, is to prepare them for the college program.
Okay.
So obviously the loads I can put on a freshman athlete versus a senior athlete, that's 2 different bodies, right? That's especially with the boys, they some of them are already 6 foot tall and have size 14 shoes when they're freshmen. And some of them are like 5'2" and 90 pounds, and they're looking up at all the girls. And I have both of those on my team right now.
Okay.
Right. And they're both freshmen. So, it's very dynamic.
Right. You can't do the same thing with,
right. And the expectations are very different. And I had to learn that. Like, hey, I ran it in this time. You guys should run it at this time. And I still pick on them. I'm like, hey, your almost 50-year-old coach can do this, but I don't want that to be the spirit behind it. But, I tease them. I'm like, man, in my day, like when the coach would run 100 with us every once in a while, like I would have jumped on his back and bit his kneecaps out before I'd let him beat me. Right. Even if it was my worst day and it was his best day, I was like, no way am I, I don't know if the kids are that aggressive with their training, but I want them to have fun. And I try and make it not about me, but I throw it out there. I usually tell them like my dum-dum head stories about, when I ate a bologna sandwich and ate chocolate milk, and then the coach is like, hey, you're running the 400 meter. and
I'm sure that was
I'm sure everybody can figure out what happened after I finished that race. And I didn't get any on my shoes, but
okay,
it was everywhere. Yeah.
So you seem a little competitive. Just coming through just a little bit, but
good. Cause, but yeah, it weirds me out when the kids are not.
Okay.
That is something like I really have to what's wrong with this kid? Like, why isn't not everybody has that in them. And I understand that,
right,
that we have all different personality types. And it was the same way when I was a kid. There were different types, but I guess the ones that were my core group of friends were kind of a similar mentality. So I just didn't recognize it as much. But now I definitely see it. But I had an athlete a couple of years ago. We were just one of the other coaches I were talking about her, and she was so aggressive and such a competitor. She would yell at her legs during the race.
Oh, wow.
And you know, she would be destroying the field, like in the 100 and the 200. And she would not be happy because she set a goal for herself and she didn't believe she was getting it. So she would be running the back of the 200, the last like 50 meters. Come on, legs. And so I used to joke, hey, how do I bottle that?
Right.
And start putting it in the other kids' kibble or whatever they're eating or drinking. So I get some of that spirit in all my kids, but I get it. They're all different. I mean, it would be boring if all the kids were the same.
Right, sure. Yeah. And I have to laugh. And I brought that up because I'm a little competitive myself. And we kind of joke, we'll even be just, walking or doing something like that. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm speeding up and everything, and, Cory will turn to me and she's like, slow down. And I'm like, but they're winning, and again, it's not even competitive stuff all the time, but it's funny, the mentality that.
Well, here, I'll tell you a story, and hopefully my wife forgives me for sharing this, but we were on our honeymoon and we were in Kauai and we went kayaking, and everybody's out there kayaking, but there's a boat in front.
Right.
So I'm digging in. I'm like, look, they're old people. They're old people. It's like, but they got a 20-minute head start. I don't care. They're in front of us. And so it caused some problems.
I can so relate. Oh, yeah.
So, I got the hint and I had to back off and where there was some tension eventually at the finish, we were on the same page and we're still married. So,
all right. So 2 other things I want to ask about. Sure. How'd you get into the coaching part of it? I mean, and doing the research you talked about and adapting and trying to train the kids now, not just like how you used to do, is amazing. So it sounds like you're pretty serious about this, but what first got you into the coaching, and then now you're like the full-time coach, right? You're not just volunteer.
Yeah. So I'm kind of I'm the head coach, but thank goodness I have an assistant coach and volunteers because I can't watch 30 kids at once.
Right. Sure.
I have pretty good peripheral vision. They'll get hurt, get in trouble, or I'll get in trouble. Right. So having other coaches out there is such a blessing. And I have, my volunteers especially, right. Cause they're doing it on their time and their good graces. And one of them doesn't have any children in the program right now. I coached his kids prior and he didn't coach then, and now like his boys are out, and now he's
doing it. That's great.
But yeah, and thank goodness, that's Mr. Bruce Cole. Thank you,
Mariposa community.
Yeah, he's
great.
throwing. He's our throwing coach, and he's same thing. A great fitness proponent. That guy's done the race across America. He's done some cool stuff. He just did a gravel bike race with George Hincapie down in Merced a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So he was in on that, and I think he placed for his age group.
Wow.
Like he was top 3 in his age group. So yeah, he's an animal. He's
all right.
Yeah.
Come on the show. I want to hear about that.
Yeah. As far as getting into coaching, I think I just wanted to be a part of that program again, that empire I was a part of. I wanted to give back and see it continue. And it was tough coming back, seeing it wasn't like that anymore. It got a stigma as just a participation sport. And so, people didn't think it was for real, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know exactly why people would steer away from it, but it was just odd that at one time it was just like, hey, 60 to 70 kids on this team.
Right.
And when our bus pulled up, it was even like Division II schools took note.
Right. Mariposa's there.
Because we would go to these bigger invitationals, and they used to split them up between large and small school segments.
Okay.
But even at a major invitational at Stanislaus used to host, same thing. We would beat the other schools in our field and outside our league, by 200-300 points as a team.
Wow.
And so I'm hoping to someday give our kids a taste of that again, because it was like, yeah, Mariposa's here.
Right.
We're these gangly, goofy looking mountain kids stepping off the bus. But, once we got on the track, it was like, oh, yeah.
Shifted into gear.
And we have some great athletes. We just don't have the number, because a big part of track and field is just being able to fill events.
Okay.
So if you don't if I have 5 girls on the team and there's 13 events and 2 of them are relay events, I take all 4 girls and they can only do 4 events. There's no way I can even fill every event.
Right.
And then the way the scoring works in track and field, depending on how many teams are at the meet, first place gets 10 points towards the team score, second place 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. Even if you take first place, but your competitor takes second and third, well, they're beating you by 4 points right there. So there's some strategy of being able to stack up events and being able to put bodies in events, but there's more to that too, right? You're not going to do that just with people going out there and walking the track,
you still gotta,
but it was fun. And we had this culture, and unfortunately we're just not there yet. It's coming back. I had 9 athletes last year, this year 23. So I'm hoping that's a sign. I've heard this up and coming 8th grade class that's graduating is very physical. They have some good athletes. I don't want to steal athletes from another sport. So if they're already in baseball or softball, I don't want to build my program by stealing from someone else's. But if they're not doing those sports and they haven't done track, it's like, hey, well, come try it out. And that's the tough thing to breach with the kids, is to try something new.
Okay.
This year, I've got the majority of my team are freshman boys that came over from basketball, but there's a core group that all came over. So it was new, but it was safe, right? Because they had 5-6 friends with them.
Yeah.
So, look at me, but here's my guys. And that's fine. I think I went to track because there were girls in track. I don't know why. I was a pretty good baseball player at the 8th grade level. And then when I came into high school, it was, for whatever reason, I was like, I want to try track. And my dad was beside himself. My dad was my first little league coach, back in the 2nd grade. It was like, you'd see me come up. And then I got to be, this is at the little league level. We lived over in Monterey County at the time, but a tournament of champions team, made the All-Stars a couple of years in a row. So it was like, did all right. I think, I don't want, but then say, I'm done with that. I'm going to track. And my dad was like, what? And then, the level I was able to compete at in track, though, I don't think I would have got to in baseball.
Okay. Wow. Well, obviously you had a very successful career in track and continue to do so. And I got to say again, I think, they're probably pretty lucky to have you as a coach. Especially, I love to hear that you're not just, it's like, well, this is the way we did it 20 years ago, continuing to expand like that, treating, different kids with different physical development and abilities differently and everything. I mean, that's incredible. And that's what you need. So.
Well, I think that's a very difficult thing as a coach, where, it's like, hey, if we're going to win league, I need my boys to run, a low 1200.
Okay.
Well, I have 2 boys that are in the high 12s right now. So, but if I'm like, well, we're going to make you run your split times as if you were a 12 flat runner, and that will make you, and instead I'm just beating them up. Right. But I think some coaches, they do that. They train their kids where they want them versus where they are.
Okay.
So, and that takes some maturity, right? That's where some wisdom and discretion and understanding as a coach. Probably my first year, it'd have been like, well, I need you to run a 12 too. So you need to run, this interval in, 21 seconds, or, put those kind of unrealistic goals on them, where now I'm like, okay, you're running a 12.9 as a freshman, and no developmental track prior to that in this community. So, you know what? I'm going to have you in the 11s as a senior.
Yeah.
That's the picture I'm able to do if they stay injury free, if, don't get in trouble between now. There's a lot of ifs over 4
Do
years.
all their planks.
Right. And I think the kids get it. Like we're in a day and age of, YouTube videos. So if I come up and I tell them, we're going to do this, and I have them doing something, and then they start looking for track videos, and all of a sudden there's like, wait, that's the coach, that's the drill coach just had me do, right? Now, there's plenty of garbage online too, right? I don't know if the coach having his athlete doing something on there is just his dad, that he saw another YouTube video or a TikTok video, and now he's pushing it on his kid, and he's videoing it because he just wants to get likes on it, because he's trying to build a recruiting video for his kid,
right,
something like that. But it's a good tool, but you have to have some knowledge to filter it.
A little discretion.
It's like, hey, Michael Johnson could, he could run 20-second 200, do 90 seconds of rest, and do 10 of those, and then he'd go into the gym and squat 400 pounds.
Right.
So if you're going to be a world record 400 runner, I guess that's what I need to make you do, right? So that would just be silly.
Not build up to it, but just do it tomorrow.
Yeah. And so I think, unfortunately, there's some coaches out there that maybe go that route, and earlier on. Luckily, I was on the volunteer side. I wasn't the coach. I probably had more of that aggressive mentality, where now it's like, I see them where they are, and I see where they could be, and we try and work them there. And I told the parents this, the fact that they're all freshmen here now, it's like, great, I can get them as freshmen and start working on them before they have all kinds of terrible habits, running mechanics wise and everything else, or at least start offsetting them, because what a soccer player needs to do to cut and, dribble the ball and be in a position to do what he needs to do is very different than, a track runner, and football players, very good, north-south, but they do a lot of cutting, change of direction stuff.
Right.
But now they're putting their shoulders down to hit. And like, well, you don't have to worry about that here. You can run tall, and I need you to run tall. So different, but I think, just having that image, that's the key.
Great. Love the philosophy. And again, I just want to reemphasize, I think Mariposa is lucky to have you, because that you say all the right things. Thinking the long term like that.
Yeah, I'd like some league titles to hang on with that, and not just for me though. For, like I said, I want the kids to be able to experience that powerhouse feeling of just like
having that success.
Yeah, but not to be cocky or terrible, but there's I think the reason track and field hasn't done as well in our society is it doesn't have the swagger like football and basketball, right? You don't hear about a track athlete getting a $60 million contract.
No.
Nobody knows what they're getting.
No.
And they're not walking in with a fur coat and a grill and everything going on, which, that's attractive to our young people. Like, hey, bad example, but Johnny Football or, whatever, but he had that flash or the swagger or drip, whatever they're calling it now. You don't get that. It's not part of the track culture. So that's a hard sell for a lot of them. But I'm always open to, hey, if I get it, if track's not your love, like that's not where you want to go. But if you're coming here and you're like, hey, I want to be, I don't know what type of offense the football team runs, but I want to be a fullback or a halfback, and I want to be able to work on my 40 time. Well, I'll work with you.
Right.
And I put it out there to some of the kids. I'm like, I'll take a half second off your 40 time.
Wow.
If you're, maybe a freshman, going on. But I've never had any of them take me up on it.
It'll happen.
So
it's gonna happen.
But if it's not their first love, I understand that, and I'll work with them. But once again, they're committing to a team, and I need them to do what we need them to do for the team to score as well. So they're going to pay some dues, but they're going to get some pretty good training, I think, along the way. Yeah.
This has been great, but I'm going to be a little bit selfish here. We talked a little bit before and kind of alluded to it, but you've done some Spartans.
Yes.
I signed up for my first Spartan in Monterey, June 1st and 2nd, I think.
Nice.
So I'm going to pick your brain. It's like, I see, tell me about that. I've got my first one coming up. Any tips for me?
So you're doing the super and the sprint?
I'm just doing the sprint.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So what I would say is
my starter.
So that course there at what is it? Toro Park.
Okay. Sounds right.
It's very hilly.
All right.
So Monterey County, and it's kind of in the seam. You're kind of close to the coast, but you're just far enough inland where it can get kind of warm.
Okay.
That was actually my first Spartan also about 3 years ago, I want to say.
All right.
With COVID, like there was kind of a lapse in there. So, not sure exactly what, but that was my first Spartan. And, it was like 90 degrees.
All right.
Which is for Monterey County, you know, kind of at least on the west end, especially that close to Marina and there was unseasonably hot.
Right.
So I think that helped my cause being from here where 90 is kind of par for the course June weather. So, but also very hilly. So do your hill repeats, do some hill training because it's the high school kids use that as their cross country course.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
well,
they're not going to let you use the nice trails that the cross country kids do. They're going to find you like a little goat path,
right?
Straight up it, and then 3/4 of the way up the hill is where the bucket carry is going to be, and there's going to be another steep hill. So, practice your hill work is what I would say.
All right.
And then kind of like for the Grizzly Dash hit work, that high intensity interval training, being able to rev that heart rate up and then recover if you back off just a touch.
Yep.
So, you get, you're running along and you got your pace going and then you hit an obstacle, right? You got to do the monkey bars and it's, depending on your technique and how proficient you are, it's maybe 15 seconds. It's not a long time, but now, right? You're coming from the run and now you're holding your breath as you're doing that stuff. And now you're trying to get back into your rhythm of your run. So you've broken the rhythm of your run. So that hit work will help you a lot.
All right.
And I keep saying that like I'm kind of subject matter expert in it, but that is my experience. You've got your rope. Well, I don't know if it's in the camera. It's right over our head.
Right.
So you've got your rope, being proficient in the rope climb is definitely good. So if you do your J hook or your C hook, make sure it's down. If you could do it with no arms, when if the photographer's there, you'll look awesome.
No arms or no legs?
I'm sorry. Did I say no arms?
You said no arms.
Oh my goodness. No legs. So,
okay.
Every once in a while there've been a couple times where I've been able to go in and just, and then there have been other times it was like, no way. The grip strength. So your carries, the bucket carry, you can go to the hardware store in town. They have the buckets, fill it full of gravel. I think like 70 pounds is the magic number.
Okay.
Do some running, get your heart rate up, and then make yourself, carry the bucket for about 200 meters and then get back into your run and see what that's like. And that one, they always put it on a hill. So, it's tough.
All right.
But definitely, the hill repeats for that one specific, and they try and put all their races on hills.
It's supposed to be challenging, right?
Yeah,
it's
that's what makes it fun.
Right.
That's where that bond of the common suffering comes in with those communities, and that I think.
Do hard things, it's good for us mentally, it's good for us physically. So, all right, maybe the Grizzly Dash will be a little bit of a warm up for me for it.
Similar work, but a lot less running.
Right. Yeah. So,
and then we talked about it earlier, having those longer socks. The other reason those longer socks are nice, I mentioned about when you come down the rope climb, not catching it on your shins there, but if you do get in the mud, in the muck, if you have like kind of the no-show, stuff will go down in the sock. Where if you have something that's a little taller, even if your foot goes down into something, or you're transitioning from, you got to run through the water, and then you're running in sand, and now you got sand in there. It'll be inside your shoe, but at least it won't be between your sock and your foot.
Okay.
And so that kind of chafing discomfort it'll help you protect you from that, so.
Yeah, I did the Hornitos run here a few weeks ago, and there were some guys with Spartan shirts on. And so I went up to them and I was like, hey, I saw the shirts. I just, I'm getting ready to do my first one. Any tips for me? And so long socks was something that they recommended as well. So,
the guys that are really into it, right, they want as little clothing on as possible. So they have they usually wear half tights or, what we think of as bike shorts and no shirt.
Okay.
It's your comfort level, right? But you are going to get wet. And so, even the synthetic clothes that don't carry as much water. Like cotton, I think will absorb 8 times its weight in water. So,
yeah.
Everybody knows not to wear a cotton t-shirt if
Right.
you be in there, it weighs you down. But so that's where I think, and these are the hyper competitive guys, and they probably have a physique that they want to show off too. So, but we talked about Pete, Pete's made the podium lots of times.
Yeah.
And when he's there, he's in half tights and he's got a headband on,
right?
No shirt, and his shoes, and so he's done much better than I have. But
it's watching him.
I'm jealous.
He's doing that. He's
jealous.
And we're talking
so jealous.
Yeah, Pete Kaiser, in case you don't know, Jenny Kaiser's husband, is quite the Spartan guy, quite the athlete, and I'm going to get him on this show to talk about Spartan stuff
Pete,
more
get
too.
On the show.
Yeah. but anyway, okay. Well, thank you very much for those tips. I'm definitely going to put those into practice. Go ahead and wrap up here. Of course, the big reason, the Grizzly Dash coming up, April 28th, Sunday at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. And it's at the Mariposa Fairgrounds.
Yes.
So that's coming up. That's it's supporting high school athletics kids. They really need gear, right? Whatever it is.
Programs, all the programs need money.
Always. So
So
come out, support them. Don't forget that Concierge Real Estate Services and Yosemite Fit are going to be sponsoring a team. So please drop a comment here, wherever you're watching this at, YouTube, Facebook, wherever. And we'll do that drawing a week before, and we'll get another team in there. And it looks like I'm going to be doing it as well.
Yeah. And then like and subscribe, right?
Like and subscribe,
subscribe because that way we know we're getting the info out to the community and that you want more. And
all right.
And then Pete has to show up because hey, they're demanding it, Pete.
Right. And hey, and so the flyer for this event is on the Yosemite Fit Facebook page. It's out on our website. Grab that, share the link. We'll have the link to join. And try to get as many people as we can out to come do this and support the kids and raise as much money as we can.
Yeah. And I just want to say thank you again for your time. Thank you for your family stepping up and helping out. And this is a great venue. First time doing something like this. So
all right.
I really appreciate it.
Hey, Adrian,
thank you.
Thank you so much. Guys, come out. Grizzly Dash.
Yep. Hope to see you there.